Hello there, it's Carrie Rhoades here. Welcome back to the Trinity Stamps YouTube channel and a new card making video. Today I'm going to be making a full panel shaker card that also wobbles. I'll be using the Dragon Dance stamp set that you see here. You can see it's got this cute little boy under the little dragon costume and then his mask that he's holding up. So there's a lot of fun interactive things you can do with this. Here I'm showing you the dies because there's two different dies for the head. One of them actually can create a mask for you in case you wanted to make like a one-layer card. There's 3 sentiments in this set and a die, like they've used the extra space to make a die that cuts out confetti. Here's the images all colored up. I did some very simple Copic coloring on these and did red, yellow, and green. I'm going to show you all the Copic markers I used here, even the ones for the hair and the skin, and like the mouth. I used those black or gray markers there. So there you can see all the images cut out, ready to go, the little confetti bits. I'm going to use those in my shaker today. And with the head here, there's different ways you could place this over the other image. So you can hide it, so you can just see like a little bit poking out. You could have this be like a lift the flap kind of card. You could have it be a pull tab kind of card. But today we're going to do an action wobbler on our card. Okay, we need a background for this, so we're going to use the paper Pyrotechnics stencil. So I'm going to stencil this like the easiest way I could think of, and that's to stencil the whole thing all at once, each layer with a different color. So I'm using my blending brush here with my little tab on there, so I know this one is for red ink, and the red I'm using is crimson ink from Altenew, and so I'm just going to cover this entire layer with that ink, making sure that it's pretty dark, like well covered on each of those little fireworks. And then I'll reveal what that looks like, and then we'll move on to stencil B. Now each of these stencils have etching in them, so you can see which one's A, which one's B, and for me, I just made sure I went in order and I always had that wording at the top. There's also etched lines in the stencil that helps you line it up with what you've already stenciled. So take note of that in case you don't want to do these where they're like very much in a grid. But it's going to really work out because I'm covering up a lot of this. So there I did the yellow with my yellow blending brush, and I used the color Fresh Lemon from Altenew. And then we're moving on to stencil C, and this time I'm going to do some green ink. So I made sure I had my stencil in about the same position each time, using the grid on my mat there, and that really helped too. So I'm using Parrot ink this time. I've got my green blending brush, and I'm just going pretty heavy-handed, making sure I've got really good coverage of ink on each layer. Now for the 4th layer, you've got some details there, but there's also some parts of this stencil that aren't layers. They're made to use so it looks like the fireworks are like shooting into the sky. So there's 3 different areas I'm actually going to mask off and not use, on the side and there at the bottom. So I just used some tape there, and then for this last layer I'm using Gold Rush Lunar Paste, and that I'm going to really like having that touch of gold, because in my stamped images I do have a touch of gold. I highlighted it with a gold gel pen instead of a white gel pen. So I'm having a touch of gold on all of my things. Now you can see the lunar paste there, it's drying, so I just left it on there because I'm actually going to do another layer of stenciling with the sprinkled border. Now this stencil is one that you're going to shift the stencil up and stencil different colors to create a row of sprinkles, but you can use it like this as well. So now I'm bringing in smaller blending brushes, and I'm doing all of the colors in different areas, so I don't have to clean it off and switch things around. And that's just going to give me a really subtle confetti type look in the sky. And this time I'm not going over the heavy hand. I'm actually purposefully keeping it light, so it looks like these little confetti pieces are more far away, further in the background. So I'll do each of the 3 colors, no gold on this one, but I am going to bring in an element of gold next. So first, let's see what this looks like. Like I said, it's more subtle, but you can see it just is filling in some of that white space, and I love that. Okay, for the gold layer, I have some gold metallic watercolor. I'm wetting that, picking it up with a paintbrush, and I put a good deal of water in there so I could easily splatter this. So I'm just going to tap my paintbrush and put the gold splatter all over and giving this even more of a firework-like background, filling in those white spaces. And I just love splatter. I love it. Okay, so that background is going to become the background for our full panel shaker. I have put adhesive on the 2 long sides and the bottom, and I'm bringing in our full panel A2 sized shaker pouch. I like to pre-fold on my 3 sides before I stick this down. It just makes it a lot easier once I'm ready to actually stick it down, since they've been pre-folded. All right, so I want to reduce the static on the paper, so I'm using my anti-static powder tool on that and a little bit on the window. Now, my powder tool doesn't drop a lot of powder, so it makes it really easy to use for things like this and reduces the static, so my shaker bits are going to move around a little more freely. All right, I'm removing that rip and stick tape from those 3 sides, and then I'm going to fold over the sides of my shaker pouch. So I'm making sure that it's, centered and not too close to the top. And then I'm folding on the 2 sides first and then the bottom. And this just helps me a little bit keep it centered. And then I like to use my crease tool to go over those little flaps and really press them into the adhesive so I know they're going to stay. All right, to fill this up, remember I die cut out some of those little confetti pieces. I actually cut it twice from red, twice from green, twice from a fluorescent yellow, and twice from yellow, and twice from gold cardstock. All of those are the same color on both sides. But I wanted to add some other shaker bits. These are confetti pieces from Trinity, and this is going to help those paper bits move around a little bit more freely. Paper's not quite heavy enough to just move around in a shaker as these little plastic bits. So it's really going to help them move around. And I threw in some gold stars because there's some stars in the fireworks background. So I did just a little bit of each because I already have that paper in there, but the mix together is just enough. I really like how full it makes this shaker when you shake it out. Now I'm adding the rip and stick tape at the top, and I'm going to fold over the top flap. So I just like to burnish the end of that tape if you're having trouble for it to peel it back, and then if you just rub it with your nail and burnish it down, the end will come off a lot more easily. All right, I folded the top down, and I am adding an extra piece of lightweight chipboard to the back of both of these elements just to make them a little bit more sturdy. I especially wanted that on the head because that's where I'm going to put my action wobbler. So now that those have their, you can see, recycled lightweight chipboard on them, I'm going to use a combination of tape runner and liquid glue to hold down the bottom portion of my image, and then the action wobbler will hold down the top. So for the action wobbler, there's a more solid side, and that's the side I'm going to put down onto my window sheet type texture, because I felt like I just wanted to make sure it never popped off. And I put a little liquid glue on it too. I held it in place for just a minute and then let it set before I removed the backing and added the top. So I knew that it was, set up. It was going to stick there. And then I did a little liquid glue on there as well to add on the dragon's head. And it wobbles so good. It really looks great. I think the addition of the extra layer helps it be a little bit heavier, and then it works even better on the action wobbler. Okay, I am adding Dance Like a Dragon for my sentiment, and I offset it with another die cut from gold glitter paper. So a little touch of gold there to help that pop. Oh my goodness, this is so much fun because when you shake the shaker, the head wobbles too. I love it. I don't know which I like doing more, shaking it or wobbling the head, but it's a double interactive card and that makes me happy. Okay, so I am now covering up those seams of the shaker pouch with the double-sided tape, rip and stick tape in 1/4 of an inch size. There's the size I like the best for making these full panel shakers. I put plenty of adhesive on the back. I want to make sure this sticks down. It's not going to pop up. It's going to stay where it needs to stay for years to come, because someone's going to save my card forever, right? All right, so I'm putting that down onto my A2 size card base, which was a 4 1/4 by 11 inch piece of paper scored at 5 1/2 inches. Now I have some rainbow glitter enamel dots that I'm putting on the front of the shaker. There's not enough going on. I had to add more, but that's how I roll. So I did. I used the green ones. I just felt like I needed a little bit more green in this, and then I kind of ran out of green ones, so I did use a couple yellow ones too. But it's just kind of fun to have that extra texture. I love cards with lots of different textures and lots of different layers of dimension. So, you know, I just like to do all the things on my cards. So that completes the look on the outside, but we have this whole inside of the card to do. So I'm going to work on that next. But look how fun that is. Yeah, here's the addition of the yellow ones because I can't stop. All right, so this piece right here is one that I very first made when I was kind of playing with the paper Pyrotechnics stencil, and I decided just to cut it and make a little pocket on the inside of this card that you could tuck a little gift card into if you wanted, and then I put in Happy New Year. So that inside, it just helps bring some of the fun from the outside onto the inside, and you know, makes your recipient smile on the inside as well, especially with the gift card in there, right? All right, so that finishes off my card. If you are into Lunar New Year or Chinese New Year, you should head over to the Lunar New Year Challenge blog. I will have it linked for you below because Trinity Stamps is a sponsor of theirs for the month of March, and you could make a card like this and enter it, and they have prizes and giveaways, so check that out in the description box below, as well as links for the supplies I used, and I'll see you all again very soon on the next video. Happy stamping! Bye!